Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Rita's Delicious Dishes. Today I've decided to make a quick, easy, simple, and delicious chicken cacciatore. I'm going to start. I have chopped up my vegetables, so you can use anything you like. My recipe that you're going to get a copy of today is for a lot smaller batch of chicken cacciatore, but I'm having people for dinner tonight, so I told them that I was having the show and would they like to enjoy the meal that I'm making for the show, and they all said yes. So I'm making a larger batch so we all can have what we need to have for dinner. So I've chopped up some orange peppers and red peppers. You can put in a green pepper if you like. I personally don't like the flavor of green peppers, so they do not go in my cacciatore, but traditionally they do take a green pepper, so I have lots of those. I have lots of onions. These are sweet Vidalia onions, just chopped up in big chunks, and you can break them up if you like. You don't even have to do that. And I have lots of large mushrooms that I have quartered because they shrink down a little bit, so you don't want to cut them too small. You want to be able to see them. So I'm going to dump all of these beautiful vegetables in my pot, and that I've cleaned. And of course, you want to wash all your vegetables. It's been all over the news that there's lots and lots of pesticides on our vegetables today that we have to be really careful of. So you want to make sure you wash everything nice and thoroughly. And I do something very different than most people with their cacciatore. I don't like a heavy red sauce. I like a lighter sauce. So I actually cook my vegetables, not in olive oil and saute them like many people do, but I cook them with chicken broth. So they're going to soften up. It's going to help me soften the vegetables and get them cooked without a lot of extra calories. So chicken cacciatore can be very calorie dense. So if you make it like this, you'll find yourself being able to eat it and feel really good about having it without all the calories. And it's going to be just as delicious. We will add a little bit of olive oil in the end to give it that beautiful olive oil flavor. So I have these all ready to go. I'm going to set them on the back burner, and I'm going to dump 2 cups because I have a lot of vegetables of chicken broth that I've made this morning, and I did dilute it a little bit. I diluted it so it's not really salty. So I'm going to get those started, and I'm going to cover them so it keeps the heat in and gets them really lets them soften up. And I do always keep an extra cup of broth on the side in case I need it. I don't think I'm going to today, but you never know, so I keep it handy. So I'm going to throw a cover on that. I'm wearing an apron today from New Orleans. I just came back on Monday from 5 days in the French Quarter for a French Quarter jazz festival that was absolutely fabulous. The food was wonderful, but I did not eat very many vegetables while I was there because it just doesn't seem to be part of their cuisine except for okra, which was lovely. But to be honest, I couldn't wait to get home and have a healthy salad and some steamed vegetables that I'm used to eating. So this meal is going to be very appealing to all of us that like vegetables because there's going to be tons of vegetables in there. So we're going to let that cook up a little bit back there. I am going to pay attention to it and stir it every once in a while. In the meantime, I have a beautiful fry pan with a little bit of olive oil on the bottom, of which we're going to cook our chicken. So we're not going to really cook it thoroughly. We're just going to dredge it in some flour. I'm going to shake off all the excess. And this flour is seasoned with salt, pepper, oregano, and garlic powder, and parsley, all dried herbs. So I'm a person that likes to get my hands into the food. So I'm going to just use my fingers. And I've used some tenders. I took some breasts that I had and sliced them up. So you can do bone-in chicken. I know my guests tonight aren't fond of bone-in chicken, so I decided that I would use all breasts and make everybody happy. And I was going to do both, but I thought for the sake of the show, it would just be easier for us to do just the boneless. So you want to make sure you shake off all the excess because it doesn't need to be in there. And it'll start sizzling as we go. Just be sure to get all that flour off because you really don't need it. And we're going to just get these light golden color. We don't need them to be all browned up because they're going to cook in the sauce as well. So the flour gives the sauce kind of a creaminess. It's kind of interesting what it does. And I have done it without flouring them, dredging them in flour and pan frying them a little bit. But I actually like it better with the texture that the flour gives. And we don't use a lot of flour, but just enough for it to give it a little texture. It's kind of a creamy, it's hard to explain until you taste it and you feel that texture in your mouth. You wouldn't understand. So I'm not going to dredge the rest until I'm ready because when you dredge them too early on, they get really pasty. And that is not what we want to have happen. So we're going to leave these pieces of chicken in here, and I'll do them as a second batch. And I will give my vegetables a little stir. We want to make sure that they get all wilted down and cooked well. I'm going to put that on nice and high now. so I can keep my eye on it. Just turn them around, you know, get them a little coated with the broth. The broth is also going to dilute the real acidy flavor in the sauce. So we're going to talk about the sauce next because I do a little different. I mean, if you like to make your own pasta sauce, that's great. I make it when I have time. Most times I don't have time, so what I do is I buy my favorite or even a sauce that I've had before that's pretty good, and then I just add my own seasonings and it becomes delicious. So you pick your own sauce if you want to use a jarred sauce. This week I happened to buy Signature brand, which is Shaw's marinara, and the reason I kept the bottle, this isn't the sauce in here, needless to say. The sauce is in here. But I took those two jars, because I'm making a large batch, and I took them and I put red wine in each bottle after I dumped the sauce out, because there's a lot of sauce inside the jar. And I'm going to add red wine to the pot anyway. So what I did was I shook both jars, poured one jar into the other, disposed of one jar. And so I left this out so I could remember to tell you that I used the red wine and the excess sauce in the jars so we don't waste anything. And I'm going to pour it right into the sauce, because red wine gives the sauce a really rich and wonderful flavor. You don't have to use it. Some people don't want to use alcohol in their dishes. That's perfectly okay. But it does enrich the flavor. You can use non-alcoholic red wine, which is found in I think it's in the same aisle as your salad dressings, but, and it will give it some flavor, but it will not do what real red wine is going to do for it, for sure. So we'll give these another stir. Oh, everything smells so good already. It's pretty amazing. There we go. I'm going to keep the sauce on low because we don't need it to get crazy. I don't want anything sticking. Let's see how our chicken's doing. I'm going to turn a little light on here. So there's big pieces and small pieces, but they're all going to come out tasting just about the same when we're done. So I'm going to lay them on this little plate. I'm going to take them out of the pan. And sometimes I do a little wash of the pieces that are left in the frying pan from the chicken, which also is quite a nice thing. And sometimes I don't even put a wash in there, like a wine wash and scrape out the pieces. Sometimes I just take a rubber spatula and take all the leftover pieces and just put them right in my sauce, because there's a lot of flavor in this frying pan, so we don't want to really throw it out. But if there's not much left at all and it's kind of a sticky pan, don't even worry about it. Some people put a little water in and let it do it that way, but if it was me, I would put wine to, it's called deglazing the pan. I just call it a wash because I guess I am not the professional cook like most people that are on TV, but I am a person who loves to cook, and hopefully you're all going to enjoy this chicken cacciatore. I know last time when we did shrimp Mozambique, all the guys that worked on the crew that day thought that was one of the best tasting dishes that they were able to taste it all the time I've been doing shows. So I agree, because I love shrimp, first of all, love it. And those flavors were just wonderful together. And very quick, which is really, really what it's all about. And healthy. So, quick and healthy is my motto. There we go. I think we can flip these. They just need to get a little bit of a color on them. They don't need to be brown at all. Just a little bit. It's a little golden color, actually. So to my sauce, by the way, I put the 2 jars of, I don't buy flavored sauces. I usually buy a marinara, especially for making cacciatore, but some people like tomato basil cacciatore, so just start with a tomato basil sauce. But I buy regular marinara, and then I added garlic powder, pepper, no salt, because tomato sauce has a tendency to have plenty of salt. Pasta sauce. So I put pepper, garlic powder, dried oregano, and dried parsley. And that's all I need to do to add to that sauce, because it will actually flavor it up just with enough of the seasoning. I add, you know what, I don't really measure. I just kind of probably, I guess with 1 jar of sauce, I would tell you to add a tablespoon of dried parsley, a teaspoon of dried oregano, a half a teaspoon of garlic powder, and a half a teaspoon of pepper would be what I'd suggest you do. So, there we go. My first batch of chicken is almost ready to come out. Another minute or so. Oh, I so love chicken. One of my favorite things, along with shrimp. And I like chicken any way you make it, as long as it's not fried. Although I will say I did have some fried chicken in New Orleans, which was out of this world. something I never eat. The only fried things I eat is sometimes a few French fries and sometimes a few fried onion rings, but normally I stay away from fried fish or fried chicken, but it's kind of hard to resist that down in New Orleans because, my goodness, they're really known for their fried chicken, as well as their gumbos. And I didn't care for the gumbo, but there were some beautiful dishes that we did eat that were really quite spectacular. They have some great fishes down there as well, great fish dishes. We ate red fish, we ate fish that we've never even heard of, and all of them were wonderful. All right, so this has got a little golden color to it. Move that out of the way, you can actually see them. I'll kind of let this one be a little gold, just a little golden color, that's all we need. I'm going to throw the rest of them right in there after I get them all dredged. I'm going to turn the heat down a little. I do need to add a little tiny bit more of olive oil. It looks like I'm running a little dry, not too much, just like maybe a tablespoon. Okay. Let's move this over. Oops. This will work right here. I'll dredge these little babies up and get those in the pan. Make sure you get your bag closed when you start this, because you can certainly make a mess if it isn't. And that has happened to me, by the way. That's how come I know. Okay, so here we go. Second batch. I wore my apron that I got from New Orleans from my beautiful friend of 50 years or more. And I thought I'd wear it today because this flour sometimes does get all over the place. And I didn't want it all on me. Yeah. That's it. Whatever flour you have left, you definitely want to toss it because it's got all the chicken juices in there and whatnot. And by the way, we all know that we should wash with soap and water when we start handling these kinds of food, because you can get very, very sick from chicken and turkey juices raw. There. So everything's coming along nicely. Let's give this another stir. Oh yeah. Oh, I can smell the peppers and the onions. They smell wonderful. You can cut the pieces smaller than I did. I just like them big and chunky. I like to be able to see them in my food, you know. And they do shrink down a bit just from the cooking. But, oh yeah, they are definitely coming along perfectly. Okay. Give those a little shake. Give the sauce a little stir. I think I'm going to give my sauce a little taste now, because I usually taste as I go. I tasted it earlier, but I did add a couple of little extra pepper because I thought it needed it. Oh no, it's perfect. Absolutely perfect. So I'll add nothing else to that. We'll just let it get nice and hot while our chicken cooks. By the way, the recipe, when you see your recipe printed, you're going to see that it says chicken or pork. I'm going to add a little bit more oil because I can see it's still a bit dry. Just another tablespoon or so. That's why you don't need a lot of oil in your sauce, because you're going to get plenty from what you're cooking. It's chicken and pork, or pork cacciatore. Sometimes I do both. If I have like a little small tenderloin or something, I'll chunk it up, brown it. I'll do the same thing with the chicken and put them both in there. So, or you could do pork cacciatore. You don't even need to put the chicken in. You can make any kind of cacciatore basically with chicken or pork. You could even do a shrimp cacciatore, depending on what you're feeling like having. I do mostly chicken, but I have been known to mix it up with pork, and it's actually quite delicious because now you get a chicken flavor and a pork flavor all working together in the sauce, along with the beautiful fresh vegetables and all their flavors. So you will find that it all works really well together. Give my sauce another little stir just so nothing sticks. I got it on low because it's got some good heat to it already. Oh yeah, the vegetables are in full boil now with this beautiful chicken broth, and they are coming together. They're softening up. I can feel the onions and the peppers. Doesn't take too long, probably about 10 or 12 minutes at a good full boil. Do keep it covered so the steam stays in and you get all the benefit of the heat. Okay, let's flip these. Oh yes, perfect. My friends are going to be so excited tonight. They don't even know what they're having. I just said, do you want to have what I'm having on the show? And they said, absolutely. So we're going to make a Caprese salad, which I'm not sure all of you know what that is, but it's a wonderful Italian salad that's made with beautiful fresh tomatoes. Would be great if we had a garden going on, but there are some tomatoes out there that you can use for a Caprese salad that'll do almost as well as a fresh garden tomato. So it's tomatoes, fresh mozzarella sliced, and fresh basil on top, and then it's drizzled with olive oil and extra virgin olive oil and balsamic vinegar. Some people use a balsamic glaze on top. I'm going to use balsamic vinegar because my significant other does not like balsamic glaze, but balsamic vinegar is going to do the same thing. It's just not as thick and creamy. One more little douse of olive oil because I seem to be getting dry in the pan, which is perfectly normal. But they're almost done, so I won't need to add any more than what I just added. So these are beautifully golden. I don't know if you can see that, but there they are. Just finishing up on the other side. I do a lot of attention cooking when I'm doing this. I'm always at the stove. You kind of have to be, you know, just to make sure everything is coming along nicely because it is done in sections and parts or whatever you want to call it. Good. I will tell you that I did try a beignet when I was in New Orleans because you cannot go there and not have a beignet. I had one only because it's actually a very delicious kind of fried dough. I'm not sure what they do to it, but it's kind of thicker and not as crispy as fried dough. And then they put beautiful powdered sugar on it, and you drink these cafe au laits. Their coffee with a beignet is like you died and went to heaven. But I also knew I probably had 1,000 calories having my beignet and my coffee, so I did it only one time while I was there. Actually, we all had only one beignet because we're all trying to stay healthy and watch our weight. So there's our chicken all done. So you see there's nothing left in the pan to actually deglaze, to be honest. So I'm just going to set it aside because we really don't need to do anything else with it. I'll add a little water so it gets loosened up so I can do a little good wash later. Bring this over here. So while the vegetables are finishing up, I'm going to start the Caprese salad. I'm going to give this a little, actually I'll just get a fresh one. I don't know, there might have been some chicken on there and I don't want to, chicken juice, I don't want that to happen, so we'll use a fresh cutting board. I love my little flexible cutting boards. So these are the tomatoes. Let me give you a little visual of what I bought. I was at Haymarket South and they had this beautiful box of tomatoes. As soon as I looked at them, I knew they were going to be just the perfect little tomato for salads, especially a Caprese salad, because this is the kind of tomato you're looking for. It is smaller than the regular ones that they make salad, this Caprese with, but you can actually make it with any kind of tomatoes. So I'm going to use these. There's no specific name. It's just called Vivaldi, and you might be able to find them, but when you look at them, I have taken the stems off. They have all beautiful stems. They're like tomatoes on the vine, basically is what they are, but just little ones. So I'm hoping that they're as delicious as they look. I also picked up the basil from the market yesterday. I wish I had my own basil plant, but I don't yet, but I will have for the summer. Just make sure when you pick the basil that you really look through the box, and if it's starting to brown anywhere, you see any kind of really dark spots, then the basil is old and it's getting rotten. So I really found some beautiful basil. Oh, there is nothing that smells like basil in this world, especially fresh basil. I've often said, oh, I wish they made basil body oil. I'd be rubbing it all over myself. I just think it smells delicious. So there's our basil, and you can tell how fresh and green it is. Oh, by the way, basil never goes in the refrigerator. Never. I just learned that a little while ago and wondered why my basil didn't do well when I put it in the fridge, but I found that it's never supposed to go in the fridge. One little tip for everybody. When you go to your market, if you see something like basil in a dry goods area where there's no cool chest around it, it's not sitting in any kind of refrigeration, that means that's how you should store it when you go home. You'll notice you never see tomatoes in a refrigerated section in the supermarket. Never. It's because the moment it hits cool air like that, the tomato starts to lose its flavor. So please pay attention how they do it. Like oranges, you see them just in bins. You don't see them in the refrigerator. As soon as you put them in the refrigerator, they start to change flavors. So don't take the natural flavor out of the fruit or vegetable. Just pay attention to how the supermarket has it and then do it the same way. So I'm going to make a a Caprese salad. And I'm going to just slice these. I'm actually just going to slice them in half because they're quite small. So some of them are a little bigger, so I think I'll keep them all cut in half. I did take the stem, the little stem out. I just made a little V cut on the top so I didn't destroy the tomato. So we're going to lay them all in here just beautifully. I'm actually going to store this on the counter when I'm done for tonight because I can't put it in the fridge. If I put it in the fridge, I'm going to lose all the beautiful flavors that I'm putting in the plate. I just love tomatoes. Oh, I love tomatoes, cooked tomatoes, raw tomatoes, oh, any kind of tomatoes. Oh, I had fried green tomatoes for the first time in New Orleans, and I truly am going to try them. Now, it's one fried food that I came home with saying, okay, this isn't too bad for fried, and they were so delicious. I can't even tell you how wonderful they were. They do have some truly beautiful foods in New Orleans, but I will tell you that there's a bunch of really crazy people down there. I said it was like Key West on steroids. That's how nutty people get down there. And it was the French Quarter Jazz Festival, and my friend happens to live right in the French Quarter. So we were right there, just step out the door and you could hear the music and everything was just beautiful, just lovely. Okay, so I bought mozzarella. I thought this was wonderful. I bought mozzarella yesterday, first time I ever saw it. I mean, I didn't go looking for it, so it was probably there before, but I didn't know it. I bought mozzarella in a log that's already cut in slices. Kind of like you cut cheeses like your cheddars and think you're gonna have cheese and crackers. They now sell you sliced cheeses. Well, that's exactly what this is, a sliced mozzarella. And it was just delightful to see because otherwise I'd have to go through slicing the whole thing. And I don't usually make nice even slices where this is all sliced beautifully. So it's gonna look even better on the plate. Yeah. Okay, so look at those beauties. Are they not luscious looking? So we're going to put the mozzarella next. So here it is, all beautifully sliced. Love it. We'll just put some pieces all over. Oh, my guests tonight are gonna be out of their minds with the salad because I know they all love it. So I'm happy that I made this choice for everyone coming, as well as for all of you. It's just a lovely, lovely way to eat. And if you don't eat too much of the cheese, which we all probably have a tendency to do, because I do put a lot of it out there because I don't want people to really wish they had another piece and there wasn't enough. That's a small one, so we'll put this in there. There. That looks good, pretty even. Okay, now it's time for the fresh basil. So I'm gonna grab a few stems like this. I like a lot of basil on my salad, and I find that the more I put, anytime you see a piece with a little dark spot on it, sometimes you'll see one like that, just take it off and throw it away, please. And let's get a little wash on this basil. Nice cold water. You definitely want to wash your basil, you guys, because there's pesticides everywhere. Oh, smells so good. We're going to dry it up a little bit. Yeah. Some people spit it dry. I just kind of pat it dry, so then I'm going to chop it and put it on our salad. The Italians have some beautiful foods for us to eat, you guys, and it's not all that hard. Truly. I watch a lot of Italian cooks on TV. I love Lydia. There's another beautiful young girl. Oh God, I can't remember her name. She makes some beautiful things. They all do. They're not on TV for nothing, those beautiful people. Okay, here we go. So you want to grab them by the, if there's a little wilty piece, you might as well just take it off. You want to grab them by the stems, like I have them here. Any of the leaves that have fallen off, just leave them there. I do take the little stems off the leaves. You want just the leaf, basically. Yeah. Sometimes you also want to pay attention to basil. If you see a little bud in here, looks like a little bud, that means it's going to seed, which means it's gotten pretty old, and it probably should have been used way before it's the time you're using it. Or I actually have had that happen, and I just pull the bud off and use the rest. I mean, it's still very edible, but you actually want to try and find basil without that little bud starting in the middle. We'll give our vegetables a little stir. Oh yeah. Woohoo! Perfectly, almost perfectly done. Another maybe 3 minutes, 2-3 minutes. The sauce is all ready. I'm gonna leave the top off now because I know it doesn't have much more cooking time. So if we lose some of the liquids, it's not a problem. I dropped a little basil. Okay, so now we're gonna chop this up. I rough chop it because I really like to taste the basil when I eat it. I don't want it tiny, tiny, tiny pieces. By the way, my Cutco knife had been sharpened twice, and I couldn't seem to get the cutting edge back. And I, excuse me, notified the company, and lo and behold, look at this salad. Oh, I can't even wait for tonight. Good thing I'm heading out after the class to do some errands. I'd be picking at this little thing. There we have it. I'm going to use my olive oil. This is that olive oil jar with my beautiful tops that I bought in Maine. I'm going to zigzag just lightly. I don't dress my salad a lot. I let everybody put more on if they want it. I try to regulate my calories. If people want more oil, they can certainly put more oil. And I'm just going to slightly drizzle. I don't want too much balsamic either. Oh yeah, beautiful. There you have a beautiful caprese salad. I know it's probably got a lot of basil for you, but for me, it's the perfect amount of basil. The more green you can eat, the better you're going to be. All that chlorophyll that you see in that green of the plants that you eat is something that will help you build your immune system and help you become a healthy individual. So there we have our caprese salad. Now we're going to finish up our cacciatore. Get some of this out of here. There. Okay, let's make sure that these are done perfectly. All set. Veggies are all done. So we're going to leave the broth in there because it's actually going to help our sauce. I'm going to move it over here. I'm going to put the chicken pieces in. Then I'm going to put the sauce in, and I'm just going to stir it all up. We may give it a reheat later, of course, because we're going to be eating it later. Oops. Lost that one. There is a lot of food here, I know, but there are quite a few people coming tonight for dinner. There's 6 of us, so it'll work great, beautifully. I am going to pour the beautiful juices in there from the, oh yeah. Okay, here it goes. I'm going to do this slowly so it's not too messy. The lower you get in the pan, the less it's going to spatter on you. There. How beautiful. Just beautiful. Oh, it smells great. It smells just delightful. Between the basil smell and the pasta sauce smell and the onions and the peppers. And, oh, my goodness. It's just wonderful. It does create a lot of dishes. That's the only thing with cooking cacciatore. I seem to make a lot of a big mess, but you know what? It's worth it. Oh, so good. Excuse me. Oh my goodness gracious! It's like, it looks like it belongs in the North End on somebody's big stove. It's like beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And I must say, for a Greek, I'm actually gotten quite good at making Italian food. It's because it comes from the same region, you know, I just love it. Okay, so we're going to give the cover a rinse because I had it in here. Just going to cover it up, leave it on low while I make my zoodles. Remember the zoodles, everyone? I don't eat pasta. I eat zucchini noodles instead. So I have my zoodler. They do have in many different shapes and sizes, but this one works for me, and it was a Christmas gift from my daughter-in-law, so I'm going to zoodle one zucchini. Sometimes I take a few strands of pasta and mix it in with my zoodles, and I feel like I'm having pasta that I don't usually eat, and I don't need very many strands to make it all. It literally starts to feel like it's pasta in your mouth. So there's 2 sides to a zoodler. One has small strands and one has larger. I like the larger strands. The small ones to me get almost too mushy. But they do make very long pieces. So one of the things you want to do is you want to maybe cut them up before you start to eat them so you don't choke, number one. But I think you'll find some of you who have never tried this as your pasta instead of real pasta, I think would be very happy and really enjoy it. So I'm going to do only one zucchini. I'll do the other one later. Look at these. Makes me laugh. but they're quite delicious. There's also a little top to this because you don't want to get your fingers too tight, too far in there, because you will slice your fingertips off. So this little top has some teeth, and you can just put it right in there and get as much of the zucchini as you can. There, and that zucchini is done. So beautiful, beautiful noodles, zucchini noodles, or zoodles, as I call them. I am going to get a knife and cut them up before I offer them to the crew. So keep them safe too. There. And the cacciatore is done. I don't know if you guys can get a shot of that. Oh, look at this beautiful food. Look. Oh, I'm going to ladle some right on there. I'm going to put it right on. And then, of course, the last but not least is this beautiful thing. This is a Zyliss cheese grater, because we don't eat grated cheese from a jar. First of all, if you're sitting with Parmesan with a green label in a jar that you bought in the supermarket that you shake on, that is truly all salt. That whole thing is just, you might as well eat a salt shaker. Freshly grated cheese is the best you can eat. It's going to add the most flavor to your dish. And I know it's a little pricey, but if you use real imported Parmesan, that's what this is. I know I got it at $14.99 a pound at Market Basket. It is usually $18.99 a pound, but I just buy small chunks at a time. I use it till it's all used. When it's almost all used up, then I go buy some more fresh. Please give it a whirl. You can buy inexpensive cheese graters out there for $10 or $11. I keep the cheese packed in another bag, and I put this in a big Ziploc, and everything stays together. So we just take the bag out and use the cheese as we need it. So I want you to think about that, because freshly grated cheese, there's nothing like freshly grated imported Parmesan cheese. Nothing. So we're going to put a little bit of cacciatore on here. Oh, look at this. Beautiful. Just beautiful. Get a nice piece of chicken up there. Oh. I'm sure my crew their mouths are watering, because my mouth is watering. You know what? We might even have enough left over after feeding my guests tonight for another meal. I love leftovers, we love leftovers in this house. Okay, so I'm going to add a little bit of freshly grated Parmesan cheese on the top. Look at that beautiful cheese. Oh. A little pepper. And there you have it, everyone. Beautiful chicken cacciatore over zoodles and a Caprese salad, of which we're all going to have a wonderful time for dinner tonight. At dinner, I wish we could have filmed the dinner so you could see it all complete. But hopefully you'll try these two beautiful dishes together and enjoy a dinner on me. Thank you so much for watching, and hope to see you next time.